She's going to help us.
There's where she appeared. Right there.
She told everyone to come and bathe.
I say it's bitter cold.
Oh no, it's a miracle.
We ready?
I'm not.
I don't need a cure.
Not everyone goes to Lourdes for a cure.
I'm out and I'm running out of chances.
Church is good at guilt.
It's also good at forgiveness.
Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, Lily.
I'm glad you came, Chrissy.
I first read the script in 2006 and I thought it was really funny and wanted to make it. The idea of, like I said, of a bunch of women going to Lourdes. There's lots of potential there for anything could happen. So I like the idea of going to Lourdes. I like the idea of pilgrimage. And to me, it was a kind of road movie as well. The idea of, getting out of the house, symbolically leaving your life behind, leaving your life in suspension and stepping out of it and seeing what's going to happen, a sense of adventure. I thought that was a lovely conceptual notion to have in the back of my head for this journey. So I like the idea of them just leaving Ireland. And it was a period when I left Ireland. I left in 1966 and I've never lived there since. And so I suppose in a way that period was kind of frozen. Well, interesting to explore that, yeah.
The Lourdettes.
We have one of them already.
The miracles.
Best of luck. First prize.
So we're working with those three actors was an education, and I've worked with actors most of my working life, but nevertheless, and that was useful to say the least in working with actors of this caliber, because I kind of need to keep my mouth shut and say as little as possible and see how they were getting on, and so much discussion about the script before we started, things they liked, things they didn't like. So we went through some changes there, and then but not much time to rehearse. But we were talking about the characters all the time, and then once we were on the set, first couple of days on the set, I think Laura Linney was, we had first on the first couple of days. And Laura is just such a wonderful person, very helpful, and easy, and therefore easy to work with. And you could share anything you were worried about with her, and she wouldn't hold it against you. And so it was quite easy to work with her. And then, then there was Kathy Bates was extraordinarily forensic about her analysis of the character, and not just with me in conversation, but in her own head. She's working through this character, and she's had a very, very strong sense of what the character was. She wanted to see the sets so she could get acclimatized, and she was very interested in the textures and the colors, and she would ask a lot about Lourdes and Irishness and this and that, and of course she had been working on the accent for 2 or 3 months before that on Zoom with a dialect coach called Brendan Gunn, and who somebody I've worked with for 30 years, and so all that was going well, and then Maggie, and Maggie was. I guess you would be a tendency to be in awe of Maggie, but she made it. She made me feel quite relaxed. She just simply said, just tell me what you want, and I'll do it. But she had a strong idea of what she wanted, as well, of course, but you never had to say to Maggie, "I don't think that's right." When she would offer up something, and. You could say, you could jump in and you could say, "What about this? What about that?" And she'd be fine. They're quite easy. I found them all quite easy to work with. The thing about it was, we had very little time to shoot, And they were all aware of this. And Maggie could only work 3 days a week. That was the agreement, 2 consecutive days and 1 other day. And because of her age. And so we tailored the schedule for her. And but that didn't mean that she was in and out in short days or anything like that. She was full on for 12 hours a day, when we had her. And she would do anything. She, at the end of the day, you'd say, we have one more scene, Maggie. Are you all right? Or should we push it into another day if we can? And she'd go, no. Let's just finish the day's work. So I don't know where the energy came from, but she was to say that she applied herself is the minimum.
Understatement.
Understatement is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
It does have a long development history, but it didn't necessarily involve me for all that period. I was the first approach in 2006 by HBO to see if I wanted to make it, and we had some discussions, and through some complications or other, it fell away the way projects do, and I didn't hear about it again for many years. I'd completely had nothing to do with it until 2 to 3 years ago, when a friend of mine, Tim Prager, said that the producer, Joshua Mora, wanted to get in touch and talk to me about starting it up again. Or rather, they had been working on it with other directors and other writers, and, they went round the houses. So with Tim Prager, who was a writer I had worked with on a couple of BBC projects, we set about doing another draft. And in a way, the script, maybe wasn't as ambitious enough, which I think is why maybe it languished a bit. And then, as years went by, it got a bit more of the drama into it. The Laura Linney character was a character that was very undeveloped in the early stages of the script. So that's how I got involved this time. As regards why, well, Lourdes is just the idea of a bunch of women, working class women, going to Lourdes looking for a miracle. I just thought that was going to be really, really interesting, which is why people had always wanted to make it, but they'd never quite found the right combination of material, the right script. And it was getting now closer to the kind of thing that I would be interested in, which was a mixture of humour and drama. And it was a question of making that balance work. And so that was the big challenge in terms of working on the script. And Laura Linney then got involved, and we worked on her reaction to the script. And then we were in a good position to get finance, because that was the other thing. The script wasn't attracting finance, and in previous years, it was attracting development money, but it never quite made the leap to getting made. So we were in a strong position then, I felt, to get some finance. Chris Curling, who was the producer here in London, worked very hard on getting the money together.
Go. I'm going. What'll I do on me own? Go back to bed.
You're coming back, Ma.
Maybe. Maybe not.
They're very conscious of working quickly. They would rather work than sit around talking about it. And so there was a great momentum to the day on a shoot. If there's a lot of talk, and if you've got a few months to shoot something, then that's fine. You can try out different things, but that wasn't the case with us. We would do something, talk about it quickly, and then maybe do it again. But the momentum was always there to keep it going, and of course that's what actors like more than anything. That's how they try things out. They do a take and then change it for the next take and change it again for the next take, and it doesn't take long to get, considering the level of intellectual effort that they put into the understanding these characters. It just meant that they would play around with it for a little bit and then bang, that'll be it. You know, third, fourth take maybe, and like any film, you're feeling it. Everything else dictates the availability of actors. Look at Maggie, for example. She could only work 3 days a week, so we had to schedule things around her. So there's no way you could work consecutively, and that's always the case anyway. So that's why actors really have to get this kind of beat sheet in their head about where they are in each scene. So they have this anchor because they're doing a scene from the end of the film on day one and from the beginning of the film on the end. And it's all, you know, it's all wrong. And it feels hard. It's very hard for everybody, but particularly hard for actors to re-engage with something that they've emotionally been through, you know, and the weeks before having shot the end of the film, they now have to go back and prep for the end of the film and do a scene which sets up the end of the film. They must think, oh, I wish I'd done this when we shot that, and sometimes that happens. But in the weirdness in the way that film works, when you put the montage together, it's got another life anyway. And that's what I think everybody finds. It begins to tell another story, and those kinds of imperfections, or rather, those things that seem impossible to achieve on the day. Actually, in a funny sort of way, the actor can embody them, and when you put it into the montage, they can reveal themselves in other ways. So that's the magic.
See, the baths looked a bit scary to me. The architecture was very stern and almost like 30s Germany. We're ready.
You built the baths?
Yeah. Because we needed the space to move around, and, you know, they were very important, and dealing with the water and all of that was... it's always tricky. And so if you have more control over it, you have to have control over it, otherwise you'll never get what you want. So that was good. Yeah.
Were they made of, I mean, they look stone. They looked as though they were sort of like had been there forever, but...
That kind of marbleized stone, I don't know what the original is, but I know that the stone around Lourdes is very dark and black, to the point of being black, some of the rock. Because there's a church, I know this, because there's a church in on Loch Derg, in Tipperary, which is... it's in Loch Derg, it's not in Tipperary. It's anyway, it's overlooking the Shannon on one of the lakes, and it's built on stone that was moved from that was taken from Lourdes, taken from a quarry in the vicinity of Lourdes. Somebody in the late 19th century wanted to say thank you to Our Lady, and wanted to build this church in her honour, and she built it. She had it built in Tipperary.
Goodness.
It's black stone, which which is not in the area of Tipperary. Well, I think when all the women are in the room talking about childbirth, the four of them are in the room together at the beginning of the third act. I think watching those actors and young Agnes O'Casey in the midst of those older actors and more experienced actors, I think was one of the great pleasures really. It's something I'll never forget, actually. We shot that, so quickly, and it was on a Friday, and it was, everybody was tired at the end of the week, and it's always a bad day to shoot really important stuff. And we shot all those really important scenes at the end of that day after a heavy few weeks, but everybody was just totally brilliant, and so focused on it, and so funny, and so getting the emotional import of it as well. So I would say that scene, yeah. There had been different years chosen in the earlier iterations of the script, and but I chose that because I thought it was a sort of period of transition. Really, there was a feeling. I don't think this is just in retrospect. I think at the time there was a feeling of things were beginning to change, and when you look back, I think it is a period that going into the 70s, when Ireland was beginning to look a little harder at itself. Economically, it was opening up, free trade agreements, and the 50s were very much being left behind. And as was the case with the rest of Europe, we were always behind the rest of Europe, but we were there still. So in the character of Dolly, in a way, we made her look really like, if you saw her walking down Carnaby Street, she would look cool, in those bright dresses and the hat, and I wanted her to have one foot in the future in modern Europe, and another foot in old Ireland, with her tradition, with her as the women call them, old folks' tales, old wives' tales, about how to deal with unwanted pregnancies. And so she in a way was very, very much caught in the middle. Mind you, the older women had moved on, because when they were her age, when they were younger, they would have believed those wives' tales as well. As they said, I threw myself down the stairs so often, more often hoping that I'd have an abortion, or a miscarriage, I should say, and never did. But they forgot to tell the kids growing up that doesn't exist anymore, and so Dolly still has these ideas of trying to deal with it. Yeah, and so I thought that was the period. And John Hand, the designer, and I had great fun just talking about the period, and because we come from similar backgrounds, and the similar background to the original story. So those were the houses, working class, 2 up, 2 down houses.
You had some lovely light to work with as well. Was that late summer when you filmed it? Yeah, summer, yeah. We had some nice light, yeah, especially around Poolbeg, the location out by the sea. We got quite lucky. It's always luck, exterior light. Because you have to shoot no matter what. So we were very lucky not to get, loads of grey days. We wanted the sense of a community, and so we wanted a working class community. And Jimmy Smallhorn had originally imagined it in his home suburb, which was Ballyfermot, but we couldn't film there. It would have taken. It just wasn't. It wasn't. I needed to be near the sea for the story. The way the story had developed, the whole idea of the sea adjacent was important. So Ballyfermot would have been too expensive to shoot in, because of it was all modernised. And so we found this little enclave of houses, and we decided that we would, in our mind's eye, they would be down by Rings End. And so we found areas around Poolbeg and Rings End to sort of
become part of that community, and so it felt reasonably consistent. The kind of architecture, the proximity to the sea, and so on, and so that was our world then. And once you have that world, then you can feel confident. It'll work as a community, and then the sets then were built in Ardmore, and there's some computer generated material as well. Yeah, they're impossible to make. I mean, I wasn't involved in all those years, but I mean, the producer Joshua Moorer and Jimmy Smallhorn had brought in other people to work with them during that time, and they stuck with it, and that was really hard. And then Chris Curling, who'd been the main producer here, when he got involved, pulling I think it was 6 elements of finance together, and you have no idea of the amount of paperwork and the amount of people you have to get involved, lawyers and bankers, to make all that happen. It's daunting. And Chris Curling was pretty determined, and he had done it many times before, so he was very experienced at that. But you need somebody who is used to working in the independent film world and pulling all those different elements together to make it work.
There's always hope, isn't there?
Did your wife pass away on you?
She's in Lourdes.
There's a miracle for her. You, shopping.